Welcome to the Brand Love mini workshop that we run every month. We skipped June because in June, Brand Love was traveling in Greece and in Ireland. So we are super happy to be here with you today. I want to start by defining what I see as brand pride. I see brand pride as that deep-seated sense of honor, loyalty, and personal fulfillment and employee experiences from being part of a brand. And a brand that consistently upholds its values, delivers exceptional products or services, and fosters a positive, inspiring work culture. For me, it's very much around that emotional connection and shared sense of achievement that drives the employees to advocate for their brand, going above and beyond in their roles to ensure its success and reputation. We're going to talk about this later, but this is not a one-sided relationship. As soon as it's one-sided, then it becomes duty and not honor. It's like fighting for your country. You fight for your country because it's the right thing to do, but you also know there's a great respect for being in a role as a protector of your country. I think sometimes in the world of work, we get so busy that we forget this. Before we go into some of the interactive exercises that Mareli and I have designed for you for this session, I want to talk about how to ignite a love for your brand in your employees. Some of you might be employees and you might look at your leader and go, not my favorite today. But some of you might be leaders that have a team. Mareli's going to talk about this. Too often we wait for someone on a white horse to come and rescue us. And the very positive message I have for you this afternoon, nobody's coming. I waited for a leader on a white horse my entire career until I went to get my own horse. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, in that journey of getting on your own horse and taking full accountability and responsibility for your life and your career. I want to play this video. There we go.
It's 8 a.m. Millions of employees show up each day to put their names on a register. The world we see around us, countries and continents, have been built on the back of these signatures. The future, too, will be written by these signatures of employees. You are an employee. Your boss is an employee. The cable guy is an employee. The overworked, the unsung, the white-collared, the blue-collared, the father of a nation, fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, healers and protectors, the girl you will fall in love with, the graveyard shift veterans, even chief executives, actors, spot boys, master chefs, and waitresses. Truth is, we are all employees, putting our names on ideas that shape our world. Truth is, every employee is a hero. Enough said. Let's go do what we all do best. Let's go to work.
I just love the drama in that video because I think sometimes we get on this hamster wheel and we don't celebrate all the different jobs in the world. I want to start with a question. Is your brand lovable? And what it takes for an employee to actually commit to a brand. They need to take some personal risk in doing that. They need to spend their time with your company. And time, by the way, is our most precious resource. And very often we don't know how much we have in terms of time. We also get vulnerable in the workplace if we share our ideas. Our ideas is an extension of us. We almost give birth to those ideas. And then we also take our emotions to work. We've worked with thousands of people over the last 12 years that BrandLove has served the various communities. And people would tell us, no, you need to separate your home life and your work life. I don't think that's possible. Even if we contain our emotions, it's quite difficult to separate our home life. For a person to run into your building and save your last product, they have to take quite a lot of risk. Let's look at whether it's really realistic for people to love brands. We did mention Apple earlier. I'm not going to ask any of you to reveal your body parts and show me what kind of tattoos you have on your body, but if I look at a brand like Harley Davidson, they jokingly tongue-in-cheek say they don't do customer satisfaction surveys. They look at how many people have a Harley Davidson tattoo somewhere on their body. What that means to a person is that they're part of that tribe, that the brand is aligned with my identity. The brand stands for something and I stand with the brand. And I think as brands and sometimes as financial services brands, we struggle with that. We struggle to stand for something other than money. And then sometimes in our language, we make up things that sound good on a billboard, but our people don't believe it. Let's look at what gets in the way of people really loving brands today. I think a lot of brands have lost their heart. I think they've become so transactional. They've become so focused on measurements. They've become so focused on the hardcore economical value things that they've forgotten that people practice a craft when they join a company. That people bring all of these things, they bring their identity, their idea, their time, their love. And then I think organizations have lost focus. They prioritize profit over people. And when that happens, maybe not immediately, but eventually bad things will happen. And they've lost their purpose. They manage by fear instead of being inspired by stories of courage. What's the impact if we don't do anything about igniting brand love and brand pride in people? I think a lot of people stay, but they flick this autopilot switch on. You've seen people around you that have autopilot on. The plane is flying, but it's not flying with a lot of enthusiasm. The second thing there is people are half connected, but they're nearing burnout. Now, the thing about flicking on autopilot, you use a lot less energy, but the experience that you give to your colleagues and your customer is a lot less enthusiastic and a lot less energetic and a lot less loyalty building. Then there's the folks that give up. They go, I had enough of this bleep. I'm just going to leave to find love. And then ultimately, if we work with people that are on autopilot, if we work with people that are half burnt out, people that don't have the coping skills, the customer experience will suffer. And ultimately, the perception of the product will suffer. So, how do we ignite this love affair? How do we ignite this pride? A brand, first of all, and you said in the questions that you answered earlier, must stand for something, must have a strong purpose and strong values. And you know what? Sometimes I read the values on the walls and they don't inspire me. If we say our value is that of honesty and integrity, for me, it's just a given. It's a hygiene factor. If we flip it around, would we want to work or do business with a company that is not honest? I think we need to revisit values and look at what's really important to us. I've also seen companies that have 6 values. And I asked their employees, I can't remember, there's a PowerPoint somewhere. There's a PowerPoint somewhere with the values. If your values live in a PowerPoint, you got a bigger problem than what you think. It's also very important that people look at those values and they identify with it, they believe it, and they feel it, and that leaders own it, that they go first, that every decision they make is measured against the values. Is this a values aligned decision? Let's quickly look at what people need to love a brand. They need connection. They need to feel like this is their tribe. They need growth. Then they need to feel like they're making a difference. They need to be able to practice their craft and make a contribution. They also need celebration and being acknowledged. They need coherence, believing in the promise, knowing that I'm going in the right direction. And they need to be creative and they need to love their own craft. I know we engage with so many call center. Who's got a call center here? Who's got a large call center? We engage with so many call center folks and I go, what do you do here? They go, I answer the phone 60 times a day versus I put a smile on people's faces. I see when I answer that phone call, how quickly can I make them crack a smile? How can I lighten their burden? How can I make their pain a little bit less? That's very different to I answer the phone 60 times a day and I need to adhere to average handling time. It's very different, right? Sometimes we implement these measurements that make it very uninspiring for people to do their jobs. Let's quickly look at how we can create this ecosystem of love. I truly believe that organizations, like they set budgetary targets, like they set strategic targets, they need to set emotional targets for what are the emotions that they want to feel inside their company. They need to ignite this love in people for a personal purpose and vision, and then for a team to have a purpose and a vision, and for them to know how to build better relationships with stakeholders. We set an ecosystem because nobody functions alone. If you create a healthy ecosystem where people are connected with themselves, they connected with in their teams, they connected with the customer, they connected with the brand, then you see an ecosystem of lateral service between employees and an ecosystem where employees love serving customers. So first of all, the steps, the recipe for this is you need to define what is your brand promise? What is your purpose? Then we need to recalibrate people. We need to look at our processes. We need to look at our systems. Sometimes we need to relearn skills. I believe the power skills of the future is charisma, communication, negotiation, fantastic communications, listening skills as well, and then empathy. Empathy is such a trainable skill. And if we are just a little bit kinder, we were working with a leadership team the last 2 days, and they work in a difficult industry. But in most industries, including banking, the bar is so low. What do we expect when we phone our bank? We expect to hold on long. We expect to be given 50 options on the IVR. We expect to go through a, a authentication process that wants me to tell them what my grandmother's blood group was. We expect those things. What we don't expect is kindness. Sometimes when you find kindness in an unexpected place, you just connect with it. And we've got to unlearn the fourth point there, unlearn some of the stuff that we used before, because some of the things we do is just outdated. We really need to challenge the status quo. I've mentioned some of the skills there, listening, empathy, charisma, how to handle conflict. And conflict can be so healthy in teams, but we taught from a small age, be nice, don't fight. But conflict can be so healthy. How to do conflict in the right way, how to disagree with people so you get to better solutions. Then rituals is crucially important, having check-ins, celebrations, festivals. And I want to appeal for love by design, not by default, because in a lot of organizations I've worked, there was no love. There was only SLAs and measurements and leaders that I felt that didn't understand me and didn't give a bleep about me. We can redesign this if we focus on a leadership journey, if we focus on an employee journey. And if leaders start leading with love and purpose, instead of just the measurements, don't get me wrong, you need to measure. Don't throw the measurements, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You need to measure, but I'm appealing for a different style where you actually deliberately design the outcome you want in the non-tangible things as well as the tangible things. So I'm going to finish by just saying, you can't demand love if you don't love back. Too often we think about our teams as a production unit instead of thinking about them as a beautiful garden. That garden needs to be tended. Sometimes the garden needs to be pruned. Sometimes we need to take the weeds out. Sometimes we need to fertilize. Sometimes we need to lay dormant for a little bit. Sometimes we need to rest. Sometimes we flower. I want you to take this garden metaphor and really think about yourself and your teams as a beautiful garden that needs to be nurtured. And just like a garden that's not tended, I've got a beautiful garden here in my street. It used to be tended so nicely, but I think the people have left and the house is standing empty, and all of a sudden it's a wild, untamed jungle. And it's no longer nice to look at. And that's sometimes what happens to teams. We get the call to say, we got a problem team. It's an emergency. Please come and help us with this problem team. And often it's not problem humans. It's just neglect and it's just a lack of skills. Then all those things can be fixed in a very short space of time. That's what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to hand over to the wonderful, the magnificent, the best listener on earth. She's like a secret agent. We go and we chat to people, and she will tell me, oh, I spoke to Melina, and you know what? Melina does this, and she has that, and she's got 20 dogs, and she's got this. And I go, Mareli, you spoke to her for 3 minutes. Like, I spoke to Melina, and I know none of that. And Mareli goes, the difference between me and you is I listen, and you talk, Chantal. So I'm going to hand you over to my partner in crime, the wonderful program leader for our Brand Warrior program, Mareli, and she's going to share a powerful tool with you.
Thank you so much, everybody. So Chantal was speaking now about the brand pride, but what I want to zone into a little bit more is you cannot really have brand pride if you don't have personal pride in yourself. And you were talking about what stands in the way of brand pride is things like systems suck and like communication is bad. And there's a lot of things that gets in the way. What I want to share with you is something called the drama triangle. Now, some of you might have heard of this, but I want to share a short video because sometimes in life in general, but especially in work, we play in this area of the drama triangle. And usually if you think about a good drama and a story, if you go to the movies, you have what? You've got the villain, you've got the superhero that swoops in to save the victim. And so we have this playing out in our environments as well sometimes. And just to be aware of that and how to move from this almost victim state into ownership and accountability and owning brand pride and almost take accountability for it starts with you. And then it ripples out to the rest of the organization. I'm going to share with you my video short, and let's watch this together.
Are you working from presence or the drama triangle? Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Conscious leaders know the difference between working from presence and working from the drama triangle. Presence is above the line and drama is below the line. Most leaders and most organizations spend most of their time in the drama triangle. Drama is characterized by blame, wanting to be right, toxic fear, and adrenaline. Like good dramas at the movies, all drama has characters that play certain roles. The drama triangle has a hero, a villain, and a victim. The job of the hero is to seek temporary relief. The keyword is temporary. The hero is the one who gives a hungry person a fish sandwich rather than teaching them how to fish. The hero doesn't want others or themselves to feel bad, so they say and do things that make the immediate pain go away without facing and dealing with the core issue. When I'm exhausted from overworking, I hero myself by eating and drinking mindlessly, or surfing the web, or exercising. When another feels sad, I hero them by saying things like, "It'll be okay," or "I'll do it for you." The hero seeks value by being needed by others. The second role on the drama triangle is the villain. The villain's job is to blame. I can blame myself, others, or blame the group. When I blame myself, I say things like, "I shouldn't have eaten that donut," or "I should work harder," or "I messed up that presentation." When we blame others, we say, "It's your fault we didn't get that project done," or "You didn't give your best effort." When we blame a group, we say, "They messed it up for all of us," or "They just don't get it." The final role on the triangle is the role of victim. The victim is at the effect of. Life is happening to them. For the victim, a person, Circumstance or condition is doing something or not doing something that is causing the victim's life to be as it is. I can be at the effect of anything, including my boss, my kids, the weather, my job, the traffic, the economy, my body, and my mood. When I'm in victim, I'm feeling powerless. Every role in the drama triangle is a form of victim consciousness, and in the end, everyone is trying to prove that they are the biggest victim. When people and teams work in presence, the roles change. The victim moves from victim to being the creator. They take responsibility for their lives and stop complaining about what is happening to them. The villain becomes the challenger. Challengers bring healthy pressure to the creator to support them in facing and dealing with their lives in a way that creates a breakthrough. Unlike the villain, they don't blame or criticize. In presence, the hero becomes the coach. The coach doesn't try to fix anyone. They see everyone as fully empowered creators of their own lives and seek to support them in taking responsibility for creating the life they most want. Leaders and teams that learn to play in the creator, coach, or challenger roles of presence find they are more creative, engaged, aligned, and energized. They have more fun and get more things done. Are you working from presence or the drama triangle?
Let me ask you the question. When you look at that, could you recognize maybe yourself and your default? Where do you play? And we play in all these areas. We all do all of this. I love playing in the hero corner, and then I help the whole world and nobody says thank you. And then I become the biggest villain. Nobody really does anything. I always do everything. And then I become the victim. I'm like, poor me. It's very important to start recognizing where you play and where the people in your team and in your brand and in the organization plays, and really to try and be mindful in pulling them out of that rather than sweeping in and saving the day, to say, what do you need to make this happen? How can I best support you? But don't take over. For instance, we will share this with you. Go and have a look and maybe share it with your teams as well. What it does for our team is, because we have a shared language now, when somebody is a little bit of a villain or a victim, we can say, sure, that sounds a little bit like villainy. Do you want to just reframe? The intention is not to blame or shame or hurt the person. It's really an acknowledgement of, we're actually on the same team here. We really want to get to a better place. Can we do it better? It's a mindfulness exercise and an awareness. I always say, once you know something, I've ruined it for you now. You can't unsee it. But with that in mind, that's a fantastic tool to use for yourself in your personal life as well, not just at work. I want us to now go into a practical exercise, and I want you to grab your favorite journal or a piece of paper. Just for a couple of minutes, I want you to imagine your last day in your job. So whenever that is, it might be in the next 5 months, year, 10 years, doesn't really matter. I don't know how long in advance you want to think, but just think for a moment. Let's say it's your last day and you've spent a lot of time in your business and organization adding immense value. I want you to write down the speech that the CEO will give at your go-away party. What is the things that they're gonna say about you? Your contribution, who you were, the legacy you're leaving. Okay? And it can be 2 sentences or it can be 20. Just the first thing that comes into your mind, you writing your own go-away speech that the CEO will give to you. What are they thanking you for? Okay. And what are they going to remember you for? I hope that you had a good conversation and that you feel proud, and take that pride with you and intentionally go and apply what you've discovered, because maybe you know this, but you forget. And so for the next decision that you make and the thing that you really want people to thank you for, go and intentionally design it into your day-to-day life and into your day-to-day conversations and how you make decisions potentially at work and at home as well. So with that, Chantal, we've got 2 minutes.
Mareli, I cannot believe how time flew.
Crazy.
Time passed so quickly. I'm just so grateful for everyone that joined us today. And I want to say to you, if you want more opportunities to spend time with us, we created these 60-minute sessions because we know the thing that you are the shortest on is time. We want to give you love. We want to give you as much knowledge as what we can and give you just a different perspective. I'm really hoping that you found this as fulfilling as what I did today. So watch out. We do this once a month. And then for our friends in Mauritius, we will have a wonderful Brand Warrior full day session in October. And for the rest of you, please watch out. We will do online Brand Warrior workshops. And if you want to contact us and have the Brand Warrior program inside your organization, you can hit us up on the email address hello@brandlove.co.za. Otherwise, we will see you next month. Thank you so much for joining us. And as is
Thank
customary,
you and
we're going to
bye.
thank you. We're going
Thank
to
you.
play out with
Let the
some
music
music.
take
It was
control.
wonderful
Thank you,
having you.
Chantal. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.